All right, you guys, happy Friday. As you all know, me and Dr. Damon bring Modern Manhood a masterclass every single Friday that we can. And once we do this, we have this segment called Freestyle Friday. And this Freestyle Friday, we always bring someone that brings and creates extreme value for the individuals that's on our platform. Today is going to be different. It's going to be a little bit light. It's going to be more fun than the serious topics that we have had. But today we got Mr. Gregory Jerome, man, who is a brand ambassador, who has his own image consulting company, which I like this, bro. I like this. I know a lot of guys that I follow just for style and fashion, just because the appeal that they have, the representation of what it means when they show up. And as a black individual, as an entrepreneur, and as a business owner, sometimes we miss the importance of branding when it comes to what it looks like. Your business is meant to stand out. It's meant to be very distinct and unique in the way that its impression is shown and exemplified. And so, bro, I wanted to first thank Dr. Damon for bringing you on, because this is the first time we've actually had an image consultant on our platform. So tell us about yourself, what you love to do. I know you're involved in music, which is awesome. So tell us your story, how you got involved in this, and what's some projects you're working on.
Man, great. Once again, I want to thank both of you gentlemen for having me here, man. It's always a blessing and an honor to be invited to be on any platform, because it's not every day people get an opportunity to do that, right? So I take extreme value in invitations, right?
Absolutely.
So I appreciate it. To roll into who I am and basically just who I am, right? I was born in Oklahoma City.
All right.
But I was raised in a city called Texarkana, which is twin cities, Arkansas and Texas.
Yeah.
So our family first migrated to Texas, and then later on I shifted to the Arkansas side. So I represent the whole city. That's what I say.
Okay, awesome.
So it's no sides difference, right? And then I just kind of ventured through life and traveled. But for me right now, I'm a principal at Greg Jerome Image Consulting out here in Philadelphia. I've been in Philly for about 2 years now. I just launched this company, 11 months ago.
Oh, wow.
11 months ago, I launched this thing. But what brought me to this point is being an image consultant. I've been in the music and fashion industry for about 2 decades.
Okay.
How I got started, first of all, by nature, I'm a creative artist. I grew up drawing as a visual artist, right?
Okay.
So I draw, I paint, I do all these different things. A lot of people don't know that part about me, but that's how I started. And then I eventually segued into writing. I got into music. I started writing rhymes, right?
Okay.
So that was the introduction, because I was dealing with so much pain, emotional pain from not having a father figure and yearning for that, right, that substance in my life. So that's where I started in the music industry. As I was growing up, my family didn't have the means to keep up with the Joneses. I didn't have the J's, I didn't have the Nikes. I had like the XJ900s, right?
Bruh.
I think they were made in I don't know, Transylvania. I don't know, man, but I was rocking them. And I didn't have the latest like clothing, the jabots and the polo and all of that growing up. So what I had to do was actually use those creative skills that I had in the art arena to actually put that into the energy of my wardrobe, because once again, I didn't have the means to keep up with the Joneses. Right. And with that being said, with me not being able to keep up with the Joneses, it's a psychological impact, right? It affects it affected my self-esteem, my confidence, even my social aspect of circles of like, who are my friends, right? Who is accepting me for who I am? And it was tough in the beginning until I did transition into creating my own style. Then people start to gravitate to me because of my own personal style, right?
Yeah.
So like in junior high, man, nowadays we got the fun socks, right? In junior high, like this is like 90s, man. And I'm wearing like green socks, purple socks, yellow socks, right? With my fits. And people like, yo, like, where you get this from, right? But it opened a door for conversation. So with me understanding it, I just ran with it. So I started to say, okay, well, what can I do to kind of enhance this? So as I got a little bit old enough to work, my first job was at Foot Action. So now I got the latest fresh sneakers with my unique style. So I'm super dope, right? I'm super
Right.
dope now. So everybody's like, oh man, I dig your style. Yo, like even like high school students, the team was like, yo, man, like you fresh, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of that springboarded me into the fashion industry. As I was working on music and art simultaneously, I was moving. All of this is a whole movement: the music, the fashion, the arts, right? And so those have been my pillars in life, right? That's the thing that I stay focused in. That's my lane. So I stay in my lane. I don't try to compare myself to other people, do what they do, what's the trend, whatever. So I've worked for companies throughout my years. I've worked for companies like Wilson's Leather. I've worked for Nike. I've worked for Coach. I've worked for DXL, Casual Mail. I've worked for Joseph A. Bank. And those are the spaces that I wanted to really like educate myself in, is this fashion. So instead of me saying, you know what, I'm gonna spend $80,000 to go to college and learn about fashion, I went to work and had them to pay me so I could learn the product. So
Absolutely.
product knowledge was my key. So understanding fabrics, the seasons, right? What's in, what's out, how things are made, constructed. And so it educated me on the platform. So kind of like fast forward, I was in Rising from the Asphalt was my transition in life. I was in Los Angeles about 2.5 years ago before I moved to Philly. And I was out in LA and I was going through a difficult time. I was homeless, actually. I ended up being homeless in Los Angeles. No family, no friends, like nothing. I went out there because of a relationship. It went to shambles, and now I'm out here on my own.
Right.
And me thinking before anything transpired was like I'm not going back home. I'm not going back home, because in my mind I would have been a failure. So I had to swap. So I stayed on a mission, right? To like figure this out. Like I can make this happen. And what ended up happening is I had a car. I was sleeping in my car. Car got repossessed. From there, I was sleeping in a storage container. I had a 5x5 storage container that I stayed in, right? Where you just go store all your clothes, whatever, right? In storage. Right. So I stayed in there for a little bit. And then there was a moment where I had figured out the system of government assistance, right? To get me a place. So I had to navigate that, of how to do that. Now, what gave me the leverage of how to approach this is because in years past, I worked for a company called Public Strategies in Oklahoma City, where I once lived. And it was working with people in the lower 70 percentile of the poverty rate. So I was an employment specialist. So I used to help people find jobs, people who were making anywhere from $0 to $9,000 annually to now making 50 to 100,000 plus.
Wow.
So helping them with that assistance, travel, housing, phone, like paying those bills, gave me the knowledge of how to approach my situation. So I utilized that to my benefit. So I made contact with the government agencies in Los Angeles, went through the process. I walked myself through the process. There was nights where I had to stay the night outside to be seen the next morning at 8 o'clock, because if you showed up at 8 o'clock, you won't be seen.
Man,
so
I got a question.
That was, yeah.
How do you transition from a person that has a mindset of missing a father, needing a father, seeking validation, exploring your creative uniqueness, being homeless, to creating a business like that, bro? Like, what does that hunger comes from? Because most people that have that conditioned mindset, it ends up being like a glass ceiling that they never go beyond. So what do you think helped you do that? Because that's very transformative.
So the thing that helped me, number one, was grounding. Like I became more centered with myself. I became more centered in a spiritual sense.
I like it.
So really, really figuring out what is my power? What do I have a value that I can offer? Right. So I dug into that. I grabbed a hold of that. But the main thing for me is I'm on a legacy run, bro. Like
Let's
I'm on a
go.
legacy. So like I can't, like for me, there's no like falling back. Oh, I tried and it didn't work out. So I'm here. Right.
Right.
Those stories of, well, I coulda and I shoulda, like, nah. Like for me, like forever, long as I know of, is long as I can remember, is I was always wanting to be a positive poster face for the Black male community.
Mm,
Always,
that's it.
always.
The
Right.
frame of
So
reference.
that's where my hunger come from, is to exceed and excel, because I know so many individuals like myself, men, Black men, period, in general, but
Right.
definitely Black men that are going through these things, that are having these psychological battles, that are dealing with trauma, right? So it's like, how am I going to be able to help these individuals, right?
Yes.
How how am I going to be able to um, make an impact? How am I going to leave a legacy? What will people say about me when I'm gone?
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I always got this thing in my mind where I tell people, like, if everything you've been through, if you quit out of all the pain, the trauma, right, the struggle, if you quit, then everything that you would have faced would have been in vain, right?
Right.
And it's too much. We go through too much for it to be it, for it to be done, right? It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
And it's beautiful
Right.
when I see people be like, man, I want to use this not just for my own benefit, for the goodness of all concerned, because we do need more extraordinary leaders like that to let you know, man, no matter how far you fall down, there's always a new chapter in the book that can be written. And you are the author of that book, man. So that's incredible. So let's talk about
Yeah.
fashion, bro. What is your thought? How do you think fashion contributes to the gift and art of what you create, even for the culture? Because I just watched Colin Kaepernick. Did y'all watch his documentary?
That's on the hit list, man.
Bro, so
Watch
I
this.
love I love black culture. I love hip hop. I love fashion. And I don't even
Yeah.
think we really recognize the gift that we bring, like seasoning food, fam. Like we are
Right.
literally sold for the whole world in every
We
essence of
are.
what that means, bro. It is beautiful. We should take
Yeah.
more honor in that, man.
Definitely. Definitely. And the thing, when it comes to fashion, period, for me, um, and going back to when I was in Los Angeles, and this is one of the main reasons why I continue, is because in Los Angeles, I was, even coming out of that transition of being homeless, like I had to find a job, I had to do all these things in order to get housing. So I started working for Joseph A. Bank out in El Segundo. I left my wallet in El Segundo. I left my wallet in El Segundo, right? So I was working for that company, and 4 months later, I was in a motorcycle wreck. I was I was diagnosed with post-concussion syndrome. I was getting temporary disability, but the temporary disability wasn't enough money for me to live in Los Angeles. LA is
Man.
expensive. So here I am
Yeah.
again in another transition of, now I'm trying to elude from being homeless, right? From this motorcycle wreck. So I'm
Right.
coming out of this motorcycle wreck. But the thing about it is, I found my way out of it. I traveled to kind of couch surf and visit friends throughout the city, and I ended up in Philadelphia. And as moms say, let the spirit guide you, listen to the
Yeah.
spirit, right?
Yeah.
So the spirit spoke to me and said Philadelphia was the place. And so one Sunday morning I woke up early. All right, we ain't gonna go there. But anyway,
Yeah.
but so I woke up one Sunday morning and I started filling out applications for the top luxury lines in men's clothing stores in Philadelphia. And so
Sheesh.
there was this one store that was strictly custom. Now, I've never worked in the industry of strictly custom clothes, custom jeans, hoodies, tracksuits, you name it, we can create it. I design it, style it, all of that, right? So I end up manifesting the job that I wanted to work for.
Let's go.
So
Yeah.
I ended up I went to Los Angeles. They gave me the job. They actually flew me from Los Angeles to Philadelphia for an in-person interview while I was homeless.
That's
Man.
amazing, bro.
I got this job while I was homeless, right? They flew me out, went back. packed all my stuff up from the Airbnb, got my things from the storage, 3-day bus ride to Philadelphia. I get here, and the thing that I believe got me the opportunity to jump in is because I had like this one good suit, right, remaining from all the things that I had. And it was a 3-piece suit that I put together, I styled, right? So I go in, it has a hole in the crotch, by the way. So I go into this interview and, outcome, got the job. So I'm here and I'm learning the game of custom clothes. So I'm getting educated. And COVID comes 4 months later, I'm in the same position.
Man.
So of being like, because I didn't even have an apartment when I got here. I was living in Airbnb. So I was in an Airbnb for a year trying to get things straightened up.
Right.
But the thing that I'm saying is like the way that I dressed for that job is what like opened the door for a conversation. And that's what we have to think about when we look at an image. It's a tool of accessibility, right? So let's think about it. And I'm gonna use myself as a reference. So when you think about a stereotypical homeless person, you think about the image of oversized clothes, holes, no shoes, things like that, right? So homeless man goes into the W, 5-star hotel to go use the restroom, right? He can't get past the door because he looks like a typical homeless guy.
Right.
Well, I'm a homeless guy and I walk through the same doors, but I'm dressed clean, right?
Right.
I'm presentable. I'm representing well. Good morning, how you doing? Have a great day. I'm going through the doors and I'm going to the restroom so I can go take me a bath.
Right.
Right. So me dressing that way gave me the accessibility to get in.
Wow.
Man,
that's powerful, bro. That's very powerful.
Right.
I have been silent, right, this whole morning. I'm here, fellas. If you're watching, you see me here, and I'm nodding, I'm smiling. And if you're listening to this, or you can't see us, I'm here, and I have to say thank you for jumping in this with us, man. I've been wanting to have you on here for a while because I think it's really, really important that we understand the value and the strength of how we show up, right? Let's be honest, women got it. They get it. A woman can live a life that is teetering on the edge of craziness, but when she steps out, she looks like she has it together, right? And she is presenting her best self in that moment. And as men, this is our platform, and we find that it's at the end of the line. It's the last thing we think about, how we step out of the house. And I'm saying this personally. I'm listening and I'm quiet because this is some space that I need to really, really build in and move into. We find ourselves as men putting in all the work to take care of those around us, to make sure we're trying to keep our household in order, to make sure we're providing for our families, and we're trying to keep things rolling. And at the last second before we walk out the door, what we do? We swipe some deodorant, throw in that ball cap, and we move.
Man,
but is that
spray on a little
enough?
Cologne?
Right.
That's it.
So thank you for just from jump bringing in the intersections of what it means to really present yourself. Present yourself and show up the way legit. That tells the world who you want to be, even if you're not there yet.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's the thing that I educate my clients on, and I try to educate my community on as well, my social media community, is the education of creating your own personal style. You don't have to look like everybody else. And when you do that is understanding who you are as a person, what influenced you, no matter if it's anything from nature, if it's another peer that dresses well, it could be art, it could be travel, it could be it could be all these things that you can tie in. It could be cultures, right? You can say things from different cultures and bring it into your own. That's what we do anyway. That's what hip hop is.
Right.
So I'm going to bring different things to, my attire when I walk out. And the thing that I educate my clients on is these top things. One, the internal, external benefits of it. Then also I let them understand what are the cognitive, behavioral, emotional, and perceptual factors of images. And then I will. And then when we start talking about a holistic approach, now we're talking about metaphysics of color. What colors are you wearing to help you align your chakras and your energy, right? What places are you clogged or stuck in, right? So how do you open those up? And you use those colors to help amplify those things.
Sheesh.
Right?
Bro,
So
this is everything in alignment with us, bro. You talking everything that is in alignment with me and Damon, bro. This is nuts.
Hey, listen, man, this ordained, brother. This is ordained.
This is divine, yes.
Yeah, divine timing, man. And so even with that, when we think about it, right? When we think about the behaviors, when you put on a jumpsuit, like a jogging suit, right? Your Nike jogging suit, put your shades on, you run out the house. Like you're kind of moving with your swag, you're moving, doing your thing. But once you put on a nice tailored suit, great fabric, your walk change. The way you engage with people change. The way you communicate changes, right? All of that shifts. So now you think differently, you speak differently, right? You communicate differently, you act differently, right? So it's more cool. So these are the things that impact you from an invisible scope, right? It's like, oh, you can't see these things, but they impact you.
Yeah, we got a couple questions.
It provides you that confidence, right? So that's the main thing when you walk with confidence. And when you start talking, Damon, when you were talking about, women notice when you're wearing confidence.
Facts.
They can see it.
Yeah, man, as an energetic being, like the thoughts that you think really do radiate inside a auroric, like psychic field that penetrates everything around you. It's just like when a person is in a bad mood and they step in, the atmosphere, it shifts. There is a feeling that goes along with it. KG said, so I should, let me see. Should I wear black and gray? Okay. So shouldn't I just wear black and gray?
Good question. So now we're going to talk about color psychology, right?
Man. Okay.
So most people wear blue, black, and gray from a standpoint of they're hiding. They want to blend in. They don't want to stand out. They just want to go with the flow, right?
Yeah.
So all these different colors, like black, like you could look at black at two different perspectives, right? High and low. You got high where it looks elegant, black tie event. It's great, right? Black dresses, black tuxedos, like, yeah, we in this thing. We're going to get these awards, galas, like things like that, right? And then we can say black is within like death. That's a whole different vibe of blackness, right?
Right.
When we wear those colors. But then when we start really thinking about it, okay, what else is contributing with like black? Well, you got like the gothic people, like they rock black all the time. Rock and roll is big on black. So you get all these different perceptions, but it's all based on your life experiences when it comes to this color psychology, right? So even when we start thinking about the color blue, because that's a main color in branding, right? Why? Because it's cool. It reminds you of the sky. It's accepting. It's trustworthy, right? But then if we think about green brings you to a more energetic, right?
Prosperity.
It's more energy because it's nature, it's prosperity, it's money, right? It's all these different things. And so it's interesting that even colors have wavelengths, right? You have short wavelengths and you have long wavelengths. And that's where the energy flows.
Yeah. It's so crazy to think about vibrations from colors and the communication that may happen that we're unaware of. It's just like body language.
Yeah.
And physiology.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting. That's crazy.
Sociology. Bro. All of it, man. All of it.
I think what I value most about you, bro, is you have a clear, like conscious awareness of like your soul and spirit. And then your journey, bro, that is like powerful. And you understand the nature of what you're called to do. And you do it in an effective manner. You make the complex practical, which is really dope, bro. That's very awesome. All right, hold on. What's up?
That's a good point.
Elijah, what's good, bro? KG, what's up? Ronald, how you guys? Clinton, thanks for tapping in with us, man. He said you have to have a corporate image, suit and ties that are acceptable, and then you have a cultural African image, Wakanda, dashiki, and kente clothes. I want to make sure I don't mess this up. That aren't so acceptable in business environments. How do we make our cultural African business attire more normalized? Listen, let's talk about that because we got the, what is it, dreads? That was a constitutional, what was it, right, that was banned in the corporate world. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. For me, this is how I segue into this. When you think about whatever your culture is, right? We'll use Jamaica, black, green, and gold, right?
Right.
So how can I incorporate those colors into my wardrobe? Well, maybe I want to go get me a nice color green suit. And then maybe I want to go change out the buttons on it and put white buttons on it. All you got to do is go to a tailor. You can get these things done, right? Or you go get you a pocket square with the flag, or get you a gold pocket square and put it in there.
Man, throw the patches as the flag.
Right. Like you can, you have, innovation is key. This is how people live forever, is through innovation, right? This is how things are created, is thinking outside the box. Well, they don't accept me this way. Well, I'm gonna go a different route and I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna find me a way to make my presence known, in a sense, not by force, not by threats, right? I'm coming in. I'm MJ. I'm coming with the smooth criminal, right?
Right.
So it's like, let me find a creative way where I can incorporate my culture, where I feel great, right?
Yeah.
Or if you wanted to, you can put your flags inside the lining of your jacket,
right,
when you open it up, right? Like, it's different things that you can incorporate.
I think that's,
or you can even lapel pins. Like, that's an idea.
That's dope.
Throw your flag on the lapel, or whatever country you represent, like, put it on there if you really want to represent it that way.
I think that's two different flows of energy. So masculine is more like you're forcing it, it's dominant, like you're doing it as a motive because it's coming from a sense of inadequacy, where like a feminine energy is more flow, is more creative, and it's more expressive,
right?
But it's non-threatening. It's just showing up as a flow of harmony of what you want to represent. So it doesn't have like that same, you know what I'm saying? It's different when you're like, yo, I'm complimenting the culture versus, nah, I'm trying to be egocentric and dominate everything else and push you out of it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's and to touch on the point where you were talking about like inflow, in harmony, like these are things that is incorporated into fashion.
I believe that.
Harmony, like everything has to flow right. It has to be balanced. You have to have the right proportion. You got to understand your body type. You got to know what fabrics you can wear. Like, all these things go into play. How can you mix and match fabrics? How can you mix and match patterns? What are the rules on that? Right?
Give us some of those basics, because that's the space where a lot of us, and I'm talking for myself. Listen, as much as I'm
probably breaking a lot of codes, bro.
Right? But as much as we want to show up as our best selves, sometimes we got to start with the basics. Give us some basics that we can look in our closets right now and say, okay, I can start with what I've got, and let me start to build that image that I'm looking for.
Right. The first most important thing that I'm going to share with you is
writing this down.
You need to find you a tailor, and he or she needs to become your best friend.
Man, hey KG, can one of y'all tap this down? Because he's dropping gems, and I want to make sure we get that.
Talk about that. What does that mean? Because I mean, of course, I need a tailor, but tell us what that really means.
So tailor's going to help you with the fitting of your garments, right? Garments is clothes, right? So if you go buy a suit that's too big, you know, which I see too much of in the Black community when it comes to suits.
Mm-hmm.
Suits are overly big. They're too long in the sleeve and they're too long in the pants. Like, they're too long. You get the bunches, right? So which we call breaks. Those are breaks in your pants. So the best fitting is a no break, not the high water, chop pass above the ankle, but for a nice clean look, you want your pants to fall right over the tip of where your laces fall. Like where you tie your knot, your pants should fall right there, right? What it does, it elongates the body. It makes you look taller. It makes you look more confident. Like it brings that to you. And also with the shortening of the sleeves, right at the wrist. I see most guys when they wearing, it's all the way down here. And I'm like, why is it shouldn't cover this, right? So break at the wrist. These are the size and measurements that you should rock your suits. And if it needs to be taken in, it can be. Another thing, if the waist is too big or too small, you have 2 inches within that to open or close your pants. So if you gain a little weight, you can open them up. If you slim down, you can close them down, right? Other things is if you buying like jackets, raincoats, stuff like that, like you can get the sleeves shortened, buttons moved up, buttons replaced, right? So that's coming with fitting. So that's the fitting portion. Even with like your shirts where the breastplate and the arm meets, you have that line where they connect. Well, that's supposed to sit right on the curvature of the shoulder, not all the way past it. Or all the way up. So these are perfect fits.
Though, right?
What is?
This is not expensive to have somebody tailoring all your clothes.
No. If you on average, getting a pair of pants hemmed and tapered. So tapered is when they bring it in a little bit on ankles, right? So even you can do this with jeans, you can do this with trousers, all these different things, right? All your pants could get this done to it. Maybe $12, 24. It's not.
Bro, let me know where you get yours. So I'm gonna tell you what I've done. I've done on Black Friday when suits are like stupid discounted. I go and buy them, and then I get them tailored. Because I can get, it may be like $100, depending on how many alterations I need done. So what is a good thing to look for when you're looking for a tailor? Because I know some tailors that's been crazy expensive, but I know some that is really, really, really affordable. So what is something you can do when you're looking for a tailor?
So the thing for me is, number one, do they use machine or do they use hand? That's your biggest difference.
Okay.
When you get it done by hand, it's going to be a lot more expensive, but it's going to be a lot more accurate.
Okay. That's a good point.
So those are where you can go. When it comes to like prints, right? So I see some guys wearing plaid ties with plaid shirts. Well, big and small, right? Now we're talking about size. Small plaid versus large plaid, right? Same thing with like polka dots. Small, minimal polka dots and large polka dots, if you're gonna wear it like that, right? So, and it's also understanding like what colors work together. That's another thing.
Man, bro, tell me about that.
You have to understand like what are your primary colors, secondary colors, complementary colors, all those things. But and here's one that we don't really think about as a Black community, right? Is understanding what are your undertones, right? When we're talking about skin tones, what are your undertones?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even though we're all like Black, African American, whatever you want to call it, we all have these different shades though.
Yeah.
Some are darker than others. And so some colors going to work best for you versus other colors.
So I've seen this in regards to like photographies and photo shoots.
Yeah.
So like usually a photographer knows like what color works well with the scheme and the idea of imagery that you want to project and your audience and appeal and stuff like that. So could that seem overwhelming? Like, is there, I mean, that could feel like a whole lot. So on a basic, what is something that we can look for?
What do you mean when it comes to identifying like what colors work best for you?
Yes.
So that's a tricky one, right? When it comes to that, because it's like when you work with, all right, so if you look at, let's say Wesley Snipes, right?
Okay.
Super dark brother, right? So when he wear colors, they're gonna probably pop.
Right, absolutely.
Like, he throwing the green, he throwing the reds, like he's gonna pop himself, like as an individual, right? Then you take a lighter skinned person and you put him in like a nice gold or like a nice camel, like it flows differently versus a darker person wearing those camel colors.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
You see what I'm saying now? Like you have to figure out what really vibrates you in a sense as a person, not the actual garments, but you. Like, how does this impact you? Like gold, orange, right? Like these colors work for me because I'm at balance. I got both, right? I'm a cool tone. So here are the tones, right? You have a cool tone and you have warm tone. And then you have neutral tones.
How do we tell us some resources where we can figure that out? Where can we, because like,
hey, listen, we in a modern day age, man. Google it.
Yeah. Google it.
Yeah, facts. For real.
No,
for real.
No, you can.
I don't think we think that.
Yeah, you can Google it. You can Google like what are color tones, like what are undertones, like, and it'll show you. And then it'll show you like even with those, it'll tell you what, and this is homework. This is why I'm not giving you the full thing.
Okay, dope.
I drop gems and let you go back and do your own research.
I like it. I like it.
So your warm tones consist of a couple of different colors. Your cool tones consist of another set of colors that are opposite. Your neutral tones, everybody know what neutral is, right?
Right.
So it's like, understanding those things.
That's dope. KG, you got it down. Elias, you got a lot of questions, man. I like it. Let me see.
Yeah.
He said two questions. He said, I'm not speaking of colors of the suit. I'm asking, can we substitute the suit totally with our cultural attire? I think that probably depends on your audience, right?
Well, this is what you have. This is where we have to think about now. Now you have to think about your environment.
Okay.
Now you have to, your environment, and like, is it ethical? People don't think about ethics when it comes to dressing. Right?
Absolutely.
Because even in the sense of like going for an interview, some women show up like they go into the club and a dress they go into the club versus them actually putting on a business suit or a business attire.
Right.
I have HR representatives from corporations come to me and ask me about this because this is what they experience, right?
Right.
So you have to understand, is it acceptable? How do they feel about it? That's what I should say. Have a conversation with them. Go to HR. Have a conversation with HR because they're the ones who are going to be able to oppose that to, the higher ups, the C-suite people.
Right.
So, and honestly, I believe right now in the social climate that we're in, they're probably going to be a lot more lenient for people really embracing their culture.
Right.
So
diversity is a big thing right now. Yeah, diversity is huge right now.
Oh, super huge.
You make a good point that we're in a space where you don't have to sell out yourself, or you don't have to give up the entirety of who you are in order to integrate that in spaces that aren't just that, right? Being able to find spaces and places in fashion and how you incorporate those small pieces of who you are into what fits in the space that you're trying to thrive in is really important. And that's a space we don't really get into. It's really easy for us to say, well, this is who I am, and we usually gonna have to take it as it shows up. And how successful can we be like that?
Exactly. Yeah. We can't be that successful when we have that mentality, because it's in the Black community, it's like all or nothing in a sense. Like, this is me, this is where I'm from, you're going to accept it, this is what I do. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. We all got to live in unison, though.
Absolutely.
So that means some things you're not going to be able to get away with. And some things you have to change, you have to modify, you have to alter like your thinking, because it's not going to give you any space to elevate.
Right. Yes.
You're going to become stagnant. Yeah, you're going to become stagnant and limited in what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Now, so my thing is this: always be considerate of other people when it's talking about changing a work culture or group dynamics. Like you have to be able to have that conversation. And that's where we lack most of the time, is not having that dialogue, right? To really understand one another in the world. In my opinion, like it's important to have that dialogue in any relationship, business, romantic, friendship, whatever it is. It's always great to have a dialogue, no matter who you are. Like, I don't care if I'm working with a white man, Jewish man, whatever. Like, I need to understand what his life experiences are, what his perceptions are, right? So it's you have to understand before you can be understood.
Wow.
Just, chew on that a little bit.
Yeah, I know a lot of times people don't seek understanding. They don't. They come with their own social constructs, and it's limiting because you don't ever perceive it from that particular type of state of thinking, right? That state of thought. I think that does take a little bit more intuitive. It takes a little more introspection. A lot of times when people are thinking it, that they're not thinking from a holistic perspective like that. They're just going into it saying, and sometimes even when it comes to dressing, a lot of times it's like, hey, I'm just coming up, trying to do my best. May not even recognize like the inadequacy or the insecurities in myself,
right?
But I'm showing up looking for an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I think that can be difficult.
And this,
Elijah, what do you say? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, here's, and I'm glad, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm glad I'm finally on like a Black platform, right? To have conversation. Like, I'm on a lot of platforms, man, but it's not men and it's not Black men that I'm normally on these platforms with. So some things I'm not able to have a conversation about, right?
Awesome.
So the main thing that I would like for our community is to understand this: image represents all of us in this world. And the way that we look gives a perception of how the world looks at us as a whole.
That is important. I tell people, when I was a financial advisor, I worked with people that had a net worth over 100 million. A lot of times I would show up in rooms where they had not seen Black people before. So it felt a lot more critical for me, but I recognized within me the perception of how I identify myself.
Right.
And I recognized that you had to be very careful. But some people say, well, I don't want to be in that room. I'm like, dude, I want to go do golf. I want to do everything that people don't think is Black culture.
What?
Because first of all, I'm in the room. It gives me a different frame of reference. That's where expansion comes in. People don't understand, like, the value of growth can occur in contrast. It is beautiful when people get to know you as a soul being, and all of their flawed thinking, they can realize what it means and they can deal with it themselves, and it becomes such a healthy dialogue, bro.
Yeah.
But for them, it starts how you show up.
It does.
That's their first impression.
It's that accessibility. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's accessibility. It provides you an opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
Because your code's going to speak for you, because they're going to look at you and be like, oh, this guy's wearing this. And listen, for the great thing, what it's like, if you know, you know. So even when it comes to like fabrics, like when you go up the line, people who know, they know, right? They'll look at your suit and be like, oh, okay. When you start going more elite, you think your Brooks Brothers suit is something, and they're like, yeah, you probably should get rid of that Brooks Brothers suit, right? So it's like, oh man, maybe I should go to this Ralph Lauren purple label, right?
Right.
Now that's a whole different playing field, and now you have a different conversations with different people at this point, right? I'm just saying, right? So, but the overall thing for me is this: in the Black community, even as preventative measures in the young adults, I even say the youth, like, if you walk down the street and you pretty much look well put together, pants not sagging, you're not wearing the J's or whatever, like you can, but just like make sure you're presentable,
right?
And then you put a person who is a stereotypical street guy, right? You put those two together, put them down the same street. Who's gonna be harassed more by law enforcement?
Absolutely. Sad to say.
So these, not saying that it's going to stop it, but it's preventative measures
Right.
for us for safety. And that's my thing. You know, it's not, I'm not trying to convert you, you know, from not being a street cat. Like, I came from it. Like, I get it.
Right.
Like, my
It's
thing is
practice.
this.
It's practicing intentionality, being very
Right.
intentional about the image you want to project, because perception
Yeah.
is reality. Perception is reality. How
Oh,
you
it's real.
perceive is very real. That's dope.
Right. And then you see
Uh,
yourself.
one of the guys said, "Can we wear gray sweats?" I said that. Can we wear gray sweats, bro?
Yeah, man, you can wear them if you want to.
It's gray sweat season, baby. Listen, I'm just trying to show up for wifey. That's all.
Listen, so let's.
Listen,
I want to make sure that
at
we
least,
can walk
at
away
least you
from
got,
this
at least you
with
got one.
some ideas,
For those who
man.
can't figure out the best self combinations, how do we go about hiring an image consultant to guide, and what are the costs?
How it works.
Man, very interesting question. Once again, you can Google image consultants, right, in your city or whatever, or you can contact me.
Yeah,
right?
let's go. That's why he's here. How many people have worked with the image? I've never worked with the image consultant. I got a few friends that are. Now I got a friend who gave me some tidbits on, hey, I took some pictures and he's like, bro, that looks nice. It's well put together. So walk us through that. What does that look like to work with the image consultant? Because I've never worked with one personally.
Right. So you have a couple of different image consultants in the way they work, right? Typical image consultant, what they'll do is they'll run you through like a style analysis, right? That's where they help you understand your body type, male and female, right? Understand body type, identify the undertones, skin colors, hair colors, things like that. They'll create what best fits the body type as well, because different clothes fit people differently, right? So they'll help you identify that. The most important thing is like, is it for an occasion, right? Or what are you getting ready for? So that's the other thing, is identifying that and walking through that process. You have some image consultants that only work with custom, right? You have image consultants that do both personal shopping, well, they'll go shop for you, and then also they'll go shopping with you, right?
Yeah, it's dope.
And that can be on a virtual platform as well, right? You would have to go through the process of like sending over photos so they can like really identify and like get to know you. In the medical world, Dr. Damon, it's like doing an intake, right? You do these surveys, questionnaires, identify who this person is. Like, this is what I do because I come from the psychology world. So my process is different from everybody else's.
Wow.
Right? What separates me is my psychology degree in behavioral science and ethics, right? Separates me in the sense of, I want to know how you were impacted and affected through culture, your upbringing.
Yeah.
Who influenced you as when you were young, right? What was your experience through that? What were you exposed to who you are today, right? Then who do you want to become?
I like it.
Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? So I can get you in that whip to get you there.
Yeah,
right?
That's dope.
Which are the garments. So what garments can I put you in now that resonates with you and the vibrations you want to go? And prices range anywhere from, like, consultations can range anywhere from $50 an hour to $100 an hour.
Okay.
Personal shopping can range anywhere from $100 an hour to $250 an hour.
Okay.
So that's that part when it's personal shopping. Also closet audits, where they come in, clean out your closet, organize it, make a more clean and more fluent wardrobe. So that's anywhere from $100 to $200 an hour. Yeah, that's about it. That's about the,
but that's realistic,
of, like,
man,
that's realistic. It makes sense,
man.
And it sounds, I think you've done a great job of helping us see the value in that, because for a person to say, you know what, I'm willing to invest $50 to sit down with someone who can help me understand the foundation and the basics of how I show up in a room, and understanding how that means when you get in the room, what happens and what opportunities show up for you and what conversations matter and what conversations literally come to your toes. That, like, thank you for that, because I think that's a space that I don't know about anybody else, but I'm thinking I'm gonna have to fit that in the budget next month. So
For
I
real,
appreciate
bro.
that, man. That's
I mean,
dope.
especially heading into the new year, knowing that everybody has resolutions, they got goals, they got plans, they got ambitions, because you can get a greater return.
Right. And it's, I use my situations as prime examples. Like when I came over here to Philadelphia and started working for this company, I was homeless, man. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I started working I'm selling $10,000 suits, bro.
Man.
Right.
Yeah.
So that put me in a totally different category. It provided me access to work with more affluent people and have this conversation. Now it segued me into being introduced to other people that then supports my other interests that I want to be in. Now I'm in the communities. Now I'm speaking at universities. Now I'm speaking at, like, tomorrow I'm doing this wellness center where it's a sensory live show that I'm doing, right?
Dope.
For a group.
Dope,
so it's like all these opportunities came because I took that plunge, that leap of faith to come and explore something I've never experienced before and wanted to get that information. So to be able to become more knowledgeable and more valuable in the industry. And that's the other thing that we have to understand too. Every single day, 1% better, become more valuable every day. No matter if you read a book, if you listen to audio, if you meditate, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like educate yourself on your skill, learn something, right? In order to progress yourself. And that's how you create that transformation, right?
Yeah, man.
So now all these things came to me due to the simple fact of I love the way that I dress. Like it makes me feel great. It shows my creativity, right? Even to my music. And Dr. Damon can attest to this. Like even when I was doing music, I was fashionable, man.
Absolutely.
Like whenever I rocked on the mic, live bands, this even when I performed with like a symphony, even when I performed with a symphony, like I had a custom shirt made, like so I could perform with this orchestra.
That's legit, bro.
Hitting the stage with you it's a vibe, man. It's a vibe, bro.
That's legit.
Listen, we want to say thanks, man, because I think there's a lot in here to really go back and pick out and opportunities for us to explore. Like you said, I think that's one of the main things that I'm taking from this is we've got to be able to explore our space internally and how we show up to the rest of the world. And so you've given us some dope tidbits and some dope gems that we need to really take hold of and move forward with. So I'm excited about that. Tell us how to find you and tell us what you got coming up next, man, so we can keep up.
Oh, cool. What I have coming up next, like I say, I have that Sensory Live show that's coming up tomorrow. In the music world and community, I'm a part of this organization called Insets. It's based out of Miami, Florida, but they also do work here in Pennsylvania. And what we do is we do outreach for individuals with mental health illnesses, right?
Yeah.
And even with first responders, frontline workers, that's what we are expanding awareness about. So on the 28th of November this month, we are having Busta Rhymes and the Lox perform for this concert.
Stop playing, bro. The Lox, bro. Busta.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so we got them on a ticket. If you follow me on social media, you'll be able to catch some of that. So I'm doing that. Here's a gem for you. So on the 21st of this month, I'm heading up to Milwaukee. I'm actually hand delivering a custom suit that I made for Bobby Portis for the Milwaukee Bucks, the NBA champs.
Bro.
Yeah.
Dope,
so,
bro. Congratulations.
And then
bro.
thanks, man. I appreciate it. And next on the list is I'm dropping brooches, like butterfly brooches for transformation for people to rock.
That's dope. Yo,
So
man,
that's
I
one
would
product.
really love for us to do. I don't know, we got to do a manhood masterclass gala, but something like that where we get some black men together in some nice suits, bro, and just do a movement. Something positive would be beautiful like that, bro.
That's exciting.
Let's talk about
where can we find you on social media, man?
all social media platforms. Gregory Jerome.
Let's go.
Dope. Man, appreciate it.
All of
Donnell,
them.
tell us what we got going on from the Man Cave and from Modern Manhood.
All right, so you guys, if you guys don't know, we got actually a couple of events. We got our Manhood Masterclass meetup, network meetup that we have every last Monday. That is the, I want to say 29th. Make sure I get it right. 29th. All right. I did it from 6:30 to 9 because you guys know every single time we get together, it's amazing. We're breaking bread with each other. There's transformation that happens. There is a releasing of all the barriers that's preventing us from becoming the highest and best version of ourselves. It takes place at the meetups. Registration is now open. Me and Dr. Damon have our virtual masterclass coming up December, and then we're going to do our in-person live masterclass, you guys, where you learn about your values, which is what Gregory's been expressing this whole time. This is why he's been so successful, because he knows his values. He's been relentless. He has a growth mindset and it's intentional. He's been willing to dive into the inner levels of consciousness to understand how the mind works. We do all of these things in our masterclass. That is what makes what we do so important, because you won't catch that too often. Why? Because as men, we're taking care of our families, we're taking care of our children, we have our drive, we have our ambitions, we have our unhealed pains and traumas, we have patterns that we're not even aware of that is governed the narrative of what we're doing. So this masterclass, what makes it special, we sit down, it's a 2 to 3 hour focus on these things. So once you're done, man, all your barriers that's holding you back, you know what they are. So you know how to tackle them one by one. You know your values, so you know how to show up as the best expression of yourself. Meditation. I am an avid meditation. I study metaphysics thoroughly. It is the wellspring of my life. But we dive into these things. We're giving you tools and resources, because as a culture, we don't have the tools, right? So off top, we're living a life that's disadvantaged with it keeps us from tapping into our inner genius. So we talk about all this, and this is what the masterclass is about. What else do we have?
We finish it up with some cocktails and some networking, man. So it's gonna be amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely. So we have Fat Lions, who's going to be our guest for the hour. So they're actually bringing cigars and showing us how to partner the liquors with the cigars. All right.
Nice.
We're going to definitely be partnering with Gregory on some more things. I think soups and branding and imaging was something that's very important to creating success in our lives. So, bro, we want to say thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It was very empowering. I honor you for having the ambition not to do this for yourself, but to say, I want to be an exemplification to show men what's possible, to let you know, even when you're suffering and you feel like you want to give up, there is an infinite, most powerful soul being in you. You have God in you that is able to achieve all things. And when you feel like hope is lost, be reminded that you are beautiful, you are powerful, and the story is not the end. That's what I got.
Show up.
That's it,
man.
All right. Happy Friday, you guys. As we do, make sure you share this, make sure you like it, and make sure you go follow Greg. He dropped gems today for us. All right. Thank you guys in the chat that's been following us. You all, we want to say we love you.
And questions.
Man, any questions, type them so we can make sure we get them over to them, man.
And of course, listen,
definitely
follow us in the Man Cave. If you're not in the Man Cave, you're missing out. We've got some amazing stuff coming up. Join us. I want you to go to our website, manhoodmasterclass.com. You can find all of our freestyle chats. You can find more resources, and you can find the link to jump into the Man Cave so we can catch up.
Absolutely. We good?
We're good, man. Have a good Friday out there, fellas.
Happy Friday. Peace.
See you.